Boyfriend followed 4 new girls after night out with the boys and that bothered me. Hello people. I would like to have some opinions from other people regarding this situation that happened with my boyfriend, since I don't feel comfortable to discuss it with my friends. So, I've been in a relationship with this guy for 8 months. We live in different cities, but he spends most of the time in my city with me. We're planning to move in together in January in my city. However, something happened yesterday that made me doubt everything. For context, I'm 27, he is 30. He went home 2 days ago and yesterday decided to hang out with his guy friends. He didn't tell beforehand that he was planning to do that, but that's okay. We're not really good texters when we're away from each other. I randomly texted him about something else and he sent me a picture that he was out with the boys. After a bit of back and forth where he told me he was only having water, the conversation died and we didn't text anymore for the night. Next morning, I randomly checked his Instagram and saw that he had followed 4 new girls, all aged 19 to 20, stated in their bio. It made me feel uneasy and I checked their profiles as well. Seemed like the friends he was with didn't follow these girls as well. I texted him asking about the evening and he answered that it was just a normal one, drinking water. Since he didn't mention anything else, I asked if he met some new people and he said yeah, but don't remember names. Eventually I was very bothered by the situation and told him this was a deal breaker for me. He said if that was the case he would stop doing it. And after I said I need time to think about everything, he left me on scene and haven't texted me anymore. I believe it is common sense to not try to make connections with new girls when you are in a relationship, but still would like to get an opinion for a third party. He haven't really done anything like this before. He has some female friends that text him quite regularly, one of which I never met, but I didn't really have a reason to be doubtful about them. Also, I feel like he does like female attention but never really acted weird about it. He also mentioned once that he likes to be friends with girls rather than boys, which sounded like a red flag back then, but I ignored it. Also, I feel like he was quite bothered when I ask what he's up to and doesn't share much about his days away from me. Sorry for the long post. Do you think this situation is a red flag I should worry about? Valid reason to end the relationship or at least step back a bit. Comment. Women actively track their man's followers/following/likes, but their friends passively notice likes/comments and maybe follows. For example, if a woman posts a photo and the man doesn't like or comment, the friends notice and suspect something is up. I guess I can ag she checked for a reason that morning, but all I'm saying is if she knew the prior number, she's always checking and low-key keeping a tab on it at all times. The fact it changed that day and she noticed didn't mean she didn't check it the day before or the day before that. If she's got that number committed to memory, she likely checks every time she visits his profile consciously or subconsciously. I deleted everything 3 years ago and I'm 30. Not once have my dating prospects been affected by it. In fact, a lot of women find it refreshing. Stuff like this really makes me appreciate the complete bullshit fights I've probably avoided over the years. Totally. A man without social media is the ideal. My husband has almost none and it's great. But for women with men who are active on these social sites, what I'm describing is the norm. It doesn't really make sense why a woman wouldn't be interested in who her man associates with though, which is why I say I think it's normal for how things are now. I personally don't think it's that odd to know who your person is associating with on social media. Like I told the other commenter, I think it's pretty normal to know who your man is following and notice changes. This guy seems kinda untrustworthy though. Why does he need to be interacting with and following teen girls he met at a night out? I wouldn't like that either. I'm with you. It would be a deal breaker for me. Do you think you can trust him when he says he'll stop? There's always a pick-me that claims she doesn't do this and doesn't care. Good for you. Have a cookie. It's not hysterical to want to know who your man associates with. The only women consistently pushing that narrative are pick-me like you, who are so much better and cooler than all the girls who actually like to know who their man talks to. If you consider even knowing who your man associates with jealous behavior, trust me when I say that's a you problem and you are projecting your own dumb shit on other women by acting like there's anything wrong with what other women do. So her saying that the normal behavior of being alert to who your partner communicates and associates with on social media enables people to call women crazy, jealous, and hysterical was her using neutral language to express an alternative viewpoint. LOL, y'all are so fragile when people don't take lightly to thinly veiled insults. It wasn't an attack, but it was an insult, and it was a demeaning way to frame what many women consider normal behavior. Whilst you are probably right in this specific situation, I really resent this whole notion as a normalized aspect of how we interact and appreciate each other. We can learn so much more about ourselves, our pasts, and our futures through intergenerational friendships, Yes, your life experiences and attitudes will be different, and there's a degree of separation that makes relatability harder. But some of my most important friends and mentors have been people a good deal older than me. Why do we have to make friendship generation locked? While I agree that feeling you need to check your partner's number of Instagram followers indicates the relationship most likely is not healthy for various reasons, I'll just point out a pretty clear double standard in this sub regarding this post. If a man had posted that his girlfriend had followed 4 men on Instagram after a night out with the girls, the responses specifically from male commenters would not be nearly so lenient as they are here. Instead, you'd be seeing comments about checking her phone, hiring a pie, gang bangs, spit roasts, and more. Which, to be clear, I do not agree with on those posts nor on this one. It would be really nice if the same tone were granted equitably in this sub to posts like this regardless of gender. Story 2. I found out my sister was the reason no one made it to my HS graduation. First, I'll clarify that my HS graduation was 6 years ago and I didn't really care much. I was raised in a low middle class family, not poor, but money was almost always lacking, and my parents worked very hard so my sister and I could go to private school. I believe that given this context, graduating from HS was the least I could do and isn't something that deserves a celebration, it was more of a duty. Well, moving on to my HS graduation, it was a disaster. There was a lot of disorganization. Some kids laughed loudly the whole time to ruin it. Several classmates left in the middle of the event, and in the photos I'm holding a diploma that doesn't even have my name on it. I didn't want it to go, and the whole time I just wanted to leave. My family, parents and sister, arrived at the end. When we had to leave, I only got pitiful applause from a few teachers when I walked on stage, and I felt horrible. However, I never blamed my family for that. It was a dumb ceremony, and we lived more than 2 hours away in an area where it was easy to get stuck in traffic, since they told me that happened. Well, yesterday was my college graduation. My sister lives in another city and couldn't come. My mom got stressed because we were late. She got mad at me, and while she was scolding me, she yelled, "The same thing happened with your HS graduation. Your sister started arguing with Frank and we were late." Frank is my sister's ex-boyfriend, who lived in our house at the time. Turns out that all along that was the reason. It's not hard for me to imagine it happening because my sister and Frank used to argue a lot, although they lasted 4 years together. But they couldn't handle it one day for my graduation? Did they have to start at the exact moment that they were going to leave the house for my ceremony? The 3 of them agreed to lie to me 6 years ago and moved on. I didn't say anything, I let it go, and we went to the ceremony. Although on the other hand, my mother's memory is very deteriorated and she often mixes dates and events. Should I ask my sister about it? Or should I just let it go and forget? Like I said, I feel like graduating from HS wasn't a big deal and I don't want to make a fuss over something so stupid. But to this day I remember how alone I felt walking on stage with no one to support me, and I feel horrible. I felt very alone and unwanted, almost like crying on the stage. Comment? My grandfather had dementia and that's something he would have done. Take 2 unrelated things that stuck in his mind: sister arguing and being late for Op's graduation in this case, and mushing them together. Not saying that it's not Op's sister's fault. But if Op's mom's brain is deteriorating, it's a possibility that she blended the 2 together. Wow, that's amazing. Keep on truckin' and killing it out in these streets of life. Take care of yourself and make sure you are putting yourself first. You are not crazy for getting upset with this type of crappy treatment, and don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. You sound defeated with them and I don't blame you. You are obviously a very smart young adult. I wish you all the best. Life should be filled with happy, good feelings, not stressful, sad ones, no matter where it comes from. OP, you need to find a mentor in an industry you find interesting. Learn all you can, even the office politics game. Kick ass, invest and save for yourself, and become the self-sufficient person you were always meant to be, because you cannot count on any of these people. And the reason why you need to invest is so that you have fewer liquid assets for them to borrow. It's not something so stupid, and your feelings are valid. I don't get why they didn't just leave if she's notorious for making them late. Just be like, "We have to leave now. I'm getting in the car, and if you are not there in 2 minutes, I'm leaving without you." I don't know if you should waste your breath asking her about it though. She'll just get defensive, lie about it, or get pissy about it. You can't win with these kinds of people. I wouldn't waste the energy. No issue calling them out, even though they'll be defensive about that too, but no point asking about it because they'll either just keep lying or be shitty about it and you won't get the answers you want. I know this type of person. It's never their fault, according to them, and they turn it around on you for making an issue about it. Ugh. Don't you already have an explanation? She and Frank were arguing and that made everyone late. Obviously, she wasn't mature enough to put the argument off for a little while. If there's a risk of harming your current relationship by dragging something up that you say you didn't really care that much about, why bother? You could assume she felt bad about it and she was afraid you'd be angry at her, and so that's why they lied about it at the time. If it's really eating at you, you could bring it up casually, like, haha, I heard that the reason you were late for my HS grad was because you and Frank were having another argument, and see what her response is. She probably feels bad about it. You aren't helping yourself by not being honest with yourself. You open with, I really didn't care much, and end with, I felt very alone and unwanted. It is okay to feel what you felt at that moment. You don't have to attempt to minimize your emotions when talking about it. Even if graduation isn't the biggest milestone in your life, it still sucks that no one cared about it enough to show up on time for you. It sucks that your classmates had someone there to support them and you didn't. Hiding from your emotions by saying I didn't care much won't help you process what you felt. It will only keep the feeling bubbling underneath the surface. I think you should consider having a talk with your parents about it.